You, is that a song?
I think it's
That's a song.
John Bowden.
I'm fixing the lights up because I look like I'm way older than you than I am. What?
Well, we've got some. It's super bright in here. Let me just tell you right now, super bright.
I like it bright. I like it bright.
Hi, welcome to everybody. Happy
Here it is.
Friday.
Happy Friday. Hold on.
I'll
give it back to you, son.
We are in a pretty big storm out here.
I haven't looked outside for a while.
It's actually not that bad. I've just looked, but we're supposed to get like 30 to 50 centimeters of snow.
Lots of snow.
I've got two strong men here that love to shovel.
I actually love shoveling.
I don't shovel.
How much was it to get your yard done? What was the price if we were going to get they have these big tractors. They got those like.
I think it's like $400, $500 a season to have them come out. So we thought, maybe we'll just kind of do it ourselves. These guys will do it themselves. But I'm an A1 supervisor. I'm a great supervisor.
She supervises quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it goes.
Good at it, right? Hello,
hey,
Kim.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, Melody. Welcome.
Hi, Melody.
From the prairies. Hi, Christopher. Nice to have you
from the prairies. Did you say? I just smell over you.
Melody is
That's not very good. That's not a good thing.
Maria. Hi, John and Shannon. Hi, Maria. Hope your arm is doing better.
How's your arm?
That's
just the kind of relationship you
I know what it's like. I broke my foot in two spots in May. And we were moving, and I know your pain. It's awful.
And could you just bring that? I know you don't want to. Can you bring that a little closer to us?
Okay.
Just like this one.
How's that?
That's really good. That's good work right there.
And hi, Teddy.
Hi, Teddy.
And we've got Believing Rebel. Hello from soon to be snowy. Icy South Carolina celebrating my birthday today. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! We have a northeastern coming in. And we could get as high as what, 40 centimeters?
Well, they said between 30 and 50, so we'll see.
Let me just even this out a little bit.
Leek, hello to you.
Hi.
Maria, sorry, it hurts like heck.
Does it really? I broke my arm a few years ago, and the doctors told me, go home, your arm's not broken, so it's set in a really weird way to the point where I couldn't straighten my arm.
We went to an emergency clinic, and we had a radiologist, did it all, and then we went to our family doctor like a month later, and he goes, it was clearly broken. It shows right here that you could.
That's why you can't straighten your arm.
So, yikes.
It hurt. It's weird when you break a bone. It's the only bone I ever broke. That it's this really strong, dull pain, but it's really strong, but it's not like a sharp pain. It's weird.
Way of thinking. Hi, John Shan. I wait all week for this.
Hey, thank you.
Welcome aboard.
That's very kind of you to say that.
Leek says R.I.P. Greg Lake.
Yeah. Well, that was a while ago, but yeah, we did a thing on Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and it was an arduous thing to do because you're doing it under the circumstances of a band member dying. So yeah, that's the way and that's all I have to say about that.
Hello, Paul. Hi, Shannon, John. Newcastle upon Tyne. Oh, UK. Calvin, hi. Good evening to you.
I lived in a place in about an hour and a half away from here, which used to be called Newcastle. Now it's called Miramichi. They've joined two towns together to make a city. So there you go.
Sad news today with the passing of Ardeen Taylor.
You know what? Every single day, it seems like there's an obituary. Something happens. I run into the studio, the one with the padded walls, and I just go on live. Unless I don't know enough about the person. Usually I do, because this is what we do, right? But yeah, we go on live and we just do it. Now when there's breaking news, we go on live. We just do it. The dog wants to come up, I think.
DJ
Can you go pick him up?
Come on. Okay.
He wants to be on TV.
Just wants to be here with us. Okay.
He got a haircut today. Oh, hi, beautiful.
So sorry, DJH Record Hound. Good evening, John, Shannon, all in the chat.
Hey.
And Leek says R.I.P. Keith Emerson.
Yeah. Yeah, we did the thing when Keith died. And I remember how much in shock I was because I wasn't the biggest Emerson, Lake and Palmer fan growing up, and that only happened to me going back, and because I'd be at parties and people say, "What? How can you not like them?" I'm going, "Well, it's not that I don't like them. Genesis was my favorite prog band, and yes, and they didn't sound like them necessarily. They were more like classically um, into that vein. And then you get older and your tastes mature, and then you get into the music, and you can go back, right?"
Bronco says, "What's going on? There's too many of you dying."
Yeah, age, sometimes COVID, uh, and it happens. By the way, we've got Ian Anderson and Randy Bachman. We haven't secured the time for Randy, but his people just got back to us. And we've got that coming up in the next week. Ian Anderson on Wednesday. We've got the guys who wrote a book on the Canadian guitarist who is one of the greatest guitarists in Canadian history, Dominic Triano. His brother and another gentleman wrote a book on him. We have him on Thursday, and Randy sometime. I don't usually do interviews on Monday, hardly ever, but whenever, if Randy Bachman wanted to talk on Monday, I go, "Yes, sir." It'd be my third interview with Randy.
42.0 FM, The Fever says, "Hey John, I love the psychedelic shirt."
Oh, thank you. It's a John Lennon line. It actually says John Lennon on it, right here.
Yeah, it's a
John Lennon
We've
line.
got a few of those.
I have, I think, about 10 John Lennon shirts.
Soulful Music 100. Hello, good evening, all.
Hi.
Teddy Bates, are you a Paul Young fan?
Which Paul Young? The Every Time You Go Away Paul Young, or the Sad Cafe Mike and the Mechanics Paul Young? More the latter, because I like Mike and the Mechanics, and I had a few Sad Cafe albums, and one's alive, one's dead, right?
Way of thinking. I always appreciate your caring reporting of any happenings,
Thank you.
whether happy or sad, for our musicians that provide the soundtrack to our lives. I appreciate both of you very much.
You know, thank you very much. There's that thing about obituaries where now and then, maybe every 30 obituaries, someone will say you're an ambulance chaser, where they go, "We report on rock. Well, we're going to win." And if you ignore when Chuck Berry died, I remember I was suffering from I don't suffer from depression too much anymore, but I was going through a real, I don't care about life phase. And one guy called me, and I've said this before on the channel, he said, "Oh, you don't do Chuck Berry, you must be a racist." And I'm going, What? No, I'm licking the floor with pain. I'm going through depression right now. But anyway, we missed that one, right? So when you have your own channel, you have the ability to say, "Well, I can't do that today." You still should do it, but that was just a bad day. So.
Patty says, "Hey John, coming in from Buffalo, New York tonight."
Yeah, you're dealing with the nor'easter as well. I think. Yeah, you would be. Yeah.
Paul says, "David Bowie's birthday and Elvis' birthday on the same day. They never met, but Golden Years was introduced to Elvis in 1976. Imagine that."
Wow. Golden Years was such a unique song. It's one of those songs, and Bowie songs are like that. When you heard them, you'd look at say, "What is he doing now?" And a lot of them sounded different. I mean, if you were a real Bowie fan, you'd recognize his voice, but a lot of his tunes throughout the decades sounded different. And that's what I was saying. They did the Let's Dance, the big hair thing, in the 80s, right? That was more your era. I was in radio, just getting into radio at the time.
When Teddy was asking you if you're a Paul Young fan, he says the Every Time You Go Away, Paul Young.
There was something about Every Time You Go Away. Remember the video had him in concert? And it was just the way they were filming him in that video. It made it sound like it was a memorial. There was something about it. I remember I kept thinking, what is it about that this video makes it seem like he's dead? And that had nothing to do with the other guy, because the other guy was still around. And I remember thinking this would be like the ending shot if there was the Paul Young story. Paul Young, by the way, still looks great. Remember we were talking about that?
Huh.
He still looks really good. But anyway, yeah, I never bought any of his albums, but I liked his voice.
Hello from Erie, PA.
And hey, how you doing?
And
Pennsylvania.
DJH Record Hound. Yes, it's a bum-biting cold here in Niagara region too.
Oh, yeah. We're not getting as much cold, but we're getting There's the wind.
Oh, I hear it.
I feel like a little kid when there's a storm. I still feel that way. I mean, after, I'll have a beer before I go to bed, and before I have the beer, I'll go out and shovel if there's enough snow out there, and I kind of feel like a little kid.
He'll be shoveling after this get together tonight. I've already got it all planned for him. Him and our son, they can go out and take
She's a good
shifts.
manager. Oh, what were you writing tonight, Shannon?
I was writing about artists that were replacements in some top bands.
Not good replacements.
But just replacements.
There's a band called, this guy, you met her, Gary from Extreme, Gary Sharon, and Van Halen. We talk about some people like that. This is for our other channel. We do those 5 singers. Could be like doing them. They're project ones. You can do them and then place them on there, and they'll go on when you give them a date. So, sorry, COVID. No, it's not COVID. I shouldn't even say that.
Joke about
No,
that.
not only that. The other day when we were doing the obituary, I mentioned a singer, and I can't say he didn't believe in this, and I said it out loud, and I lost monetization for my video. So I
You
shouldn't
just
say
have to be cautious of what you say.
Yeah.
Bronco, Austin, Texas area here. Beautiful day. I can imagine. Hike with Mike. Hey, folks. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Hike with Mike. We were just talking about Texas today, of the fact that neither one of us have ever been there. I'd still like to go to Texas. For us in the winter, like next winter we'd like to spend a month in Florida, but maybe not the touristy areas because they're too expensive. Yeah, that's the ticket.
Paul says, hi from Aurelia, Ontario.
Aurelia, yeah, Ontario.
I just got my booster and listening to Bowie cause I'm a Moderna man.
Oh yeah, we were the Pfizer. We got all 3 shots were Pfizer. We were talking today about the fatigue that people have about a lot of people aren't getting their booster, but and they got the first 2 shots because they were forced to or were in shock because of everything that's going on. We are certainly 4 shots, but there's fatigue. We can understand that.
Oh, for sure. Surfer Boy, hello, John and Shannon
Hey,
from
Surfer
Boston.
Boy.
Hey, nice to have
Nice
you
to have you
back.
back.
Very H greetings from Bay Area, San Francisco.
San Fran.
Hike with Mike says, gonna be a really cold Monday in Florida, expecting possible tornadoes early Sunday a.m.
Oh yeah. There's it's always something. No matter where you go. We were looking though at a I sent it to you and a few other people that article on where it's a good place to live and with the temperatures and the the melting ice caps and where the coastal areas are just not a good place to be. But in some cases they're talking about when at least I wouldn't be around. You'll probably still be around. Maybe married to your second husband, good looking guy.
What?
You'd probably be a doctor.
What?
Yeah, I think so.
42.0 FM, The Fever. I have questions for you and Shannon. If you have to pick one artist to be married to, who would it be? They can be alive or passed away. Mine would be Janis Joplin.
Thank you for saying that. I like it when you ask a question and you also answer it for yourself. You say Janis Joplin?
Yeah.
Janis Joplin would be the person I think a lot of people want to rescue because she was such a talented, and beautiful in her own way. I mean, she looked down at the way she looked, but.
So who would you? I honestly, that's a good one because I haven't really thought of.
Now and then Shannon will look at the TV and she'll say, "Well, I'd give that guy an hour of my time." We're always joking about that. But a singer?
Yeah.
Well, you like George Michael, but he didn't play in that lane, so that was my stomach.
Because he's one of my all-time, one of my favorites.
Yeah, who would it be?
Let me get back to you
I
on
can't
that.
even
Let me
think
get
of.
back to you.
I mean, I've always had a major crush on Ann Wilson of Heart. No matter.
That's true. You
I
have
always.
all these years.
I still think she's beautiful. I think she's. I've always thought she was one of the most beautiful women in the world. Yeah, and she seems like a cool. I'd love to interview her. If anybody knows Ann Wilson of Heart, just tell her John Bowden has a very huge crush on, and John's a good guy. You should interview him, and when he emails you, you should get back to him. I'm not even sure if she's the one that answers her own emails. She probably has people for that.
Hike with Mike. Come to Florida, and I'll take you out on a hike. Thanks.
Hey, right on. There's a band called Cano. Rachel Pemel, who was their lead singer, ended up marrying Jim Valance, Bryan Adams' songwriting partner. So she was one of the lead singers in that band. But her brother died. Another singer in the band had a song about Florida. In the song, he says, "Come to Florida." I'll never forget that. And this big, thick French accent, because they were a francophone band. They were every time now and then I'll think about that. Chase heard it once when he was about 15 years old, and he couldn't stop saying it. Look up "Rendezvous" by Cano, Cano, on Spotify, and you'll find the song.
Bronco Head says, "Hey, where are you guys? We are in far eastern Canada, in New Brunswick, in a lovely city called Moncton."
We just moved here 5 months ago. We were in Calgary before
Almost
that.
6 months. It's gone by so
Really?
fast. Yes.
And then before that, we were in Vancouver. We met in '97 in Vancouver.
So our goal was to go all across Canada. So, and we're actually...
In a van.
What? No. And we lived out west for the longest time, and now we're here...
Down by the river.
No. And now we're here to explore the eastern provinces.
States.
And the States, so...
Yeah. Next year, we'd like to go to Boston and New York. We'd obviously drive, go through Maine, St. Stephen, Maine, and start going down. My geography for the Western States has always been incredibly good because I lived there and I tried to travel a lot in my car. I just jump in my car. And even when I met Shannon, we just jump in the car. I says, well, let's go to Vegas. It's a long drive from Vancouver, but
now we're like, hey, let's go to Nova Scotia. That's 2.5 hours away to Halifax. So that's kind of how we're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Fraser J. Shannon, don't you think John looks like Hugh Jackman? No, you know what? I've been told he looks a lot like Robert Downey Jr.
Not anymore. And I can honestly say people would come up to me all the time and say that when I used to dye my goatee. And before, he's obviously a movie star and he's got a lot of things working, and he's younger than me.
Okay, I have to interrupt. I've got a story, and we've said it once before, but this was the all-time story. We were at a place called Winners, of course, a department store, and this... John was in the kids section with our daughter.
She's 23, but she's like a kid.
She likes to look
she's
at
autistic.
She likes to look at the younger books there. And this 2-3-year-old cute little girl comes up to John, pulls on his shoulder, and says, "Hi, Iron Man. Let me show you."
No, she said, "Mr. Iron Man.
Let me show you my dolly that I want." And so she takes John.
And her mother is hovering around. Right, doesn't say, and it just laughs and says, "Oh, I'm sorry." As she came up to me, she said, "Oh, that's okay."
So that was for a little. How old would she have been? 3, maybe.
5 years
maybe
old.
Maybe a little bit more, but to be able
little Chinese girl, she's really pretty.
But to recognize that you look like I thought that was very endearing. I thought that was very sweet.
I don't get that anymore, though. By the way, I used to get it way too often, but you age, and there you go.
Patty says, "John and Shannon do such a great job. Love the channel." Thank you, Patty.
Thanks, Patty.
Surfer Boy, winter is pretty up at Christmas. Winter is pretty up at Christmas up until the New Year's. Then, you know what? Yes, everything is pretty up, and then after New Year's, things go right.
Yeah, is everyone feeling that?
Yeah.
We didn't feel that as much because this is a new house experience for us. How old is this house?
15 years old.
15 years old, but we repainted the whole thing, and just
we had fun doing renos. It's always nice when you go into a place and you make it kind of more your own.
But not knocking down walls, nothing like that, because the house, it's a walkout basement. It's nice. It's got a big patio there, walking out. This is the basement, and it's very, very bright in this house, incredibly bright. So
way of thinking. Live concerts very slow in coming back. I'm so very glad that I saw almost every big group in concert in the 70s and 80s, starting with Led Zeppelin in November of '69 for $350.
Oh my God. Isn't that crazy?
That's priceless.
That's pretty cool. We I was trying to get an interview with Davey Johnston, the guitarist for Elton John, and the guy got back to me right away, and he says, "Well, let me see if Davey wants to do it because he's going on tour in 2 weeks," or whatever he said. And I went, going on tour? That would mean Elton's going back out? And I went, is Elton really going back out? And the dates are there. And I went, oh. I still might, I'm not sure when I'll get a chance to talk to him because he and Elton are going to be out there for a while. I don't know if that's going to last, but it'd be really nice to talk to the guy who played guitar on almost every Elton John. Caleb Quaid was there too, but Davey was been there the longest, even longer than Nigel. And Davey joined on Mad Men Across the Water, and Nigel was on all those other albums, Roger Pope on drums, and Nigel on drums. And then Caleb Quaid before that. But it'd be nice to talk to Davey. That's a lot of information on Davey Jones.
Randall says, John, I haven't shoveled snow in 30 years since I moved to LA.
Oh.
Look at his legs. Yeah, you can wish, honey.
The other day, someone was telling me that Tina Lukather, Steve Lukather, Luke's daughter, just got COVID, and another friend of mine said, well, you know what, it's LA. I mean, you're just walking around doing your thing, right? You can go outside, and I thought, well, you don't know what her situation is whatsoever. I mean, a lot more people are getting it now. So.
Patty says, my question, John, what is your favorite ever rock bio group?
Rock bio?
Oh, bio book, sorry.
Oh. Danny Sugarman, No One Here Gets Out Alive, the Doors thing. I think that was probably one of the better ones. I like the Elton John book. What's his name? The guy who wrote the big thick one. I know Elton didn't like that one very much. Norman, what was his name? He wrote that. I enjoyed that. What else? I like the new ELP book that came out. I really like that book. That they have a lot of old stories. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. That was good. I love Rick Emmett's book. It wasn't a bio, but I loved his poetry. His poetry just really, and I hate poetry, but it just really moved me. And he was talking about being his age, and I'd highly recommend Rick Emmett's poetry book. Just something about it. I couldn't believe it. I was so surprised by it. I went, wow, I love this.
Kevin says, hello from Arizona. I've been listening to a lot of the Byrds over the last year. Have you read Chris Hillman's book? Do you feel the Byrds get the respect they deserve?
Oh God, no, they don't. I mean, the people who know music know the Byrds, but yeah, it's sad. I was just listening to on XM their version of Jesus Is Just All Right, and I was just going, oh my God, totally forgot about their version of that. Chris Hillman, I tried to get an interview with him, and various members through the years, but to no avail. One of these days, maybe. Usually, it's because they want to keep a little. I mean, we're just about to release the Bernie Leadon because the Eagles were in that kind of that mix a little bit. They came out later, and he likes he keeps a low profile. Can't speak English. Just because he just does. He has a few beer at night, just hangs around, does his own lawn. He even said it during the interview. Likes the quiet. I asked him, you ever wonder why people say Bernie Leadon? He says, well, as long as the checks keep coming in, I'm okay with that. I don't care if they don't pronounce my name right. They always say that. All artists say that. As long as the checks come in, I don't care. Hi, Shannon.
When you were talking about any kind of rock artist that you would want to marry, and you were saying you liked Ann Wilson, Bronco chimes in, his is Nancy Wilson.
I think most people would pick Nancy, even though to me, Ann was always more interesting. And there's nothing against Nancy. You like what you like, right? It doesn't mean the other one's bad. But I remember that scene off Fast Time at Richmond High. Was that the movie at the end when she's in the Corvette, or whatever car she's? And of course, her husband did that movie. But yeah, everyone loved Nancy, and I did too. But that voice of because Nancy had a pretty voice, but Ann had the wailing on top of a mountaintop voice. Just to me, Ann Wilson's just an interesting person, and still underrated. No, I don't think many people can touch her. 42.0
FM says, John, you should try to get Grace Slick for an interview.
She doesn't really
That
do
would be
interviews
amazing.
anymore. I've got a lead in with Craig Chiquiso. Speaking of Starship, well, she was with Airplane as well. And a few leads in that band. But Mickey Thomas, I've got his cell phone number. I was given his cell phone number from someone, and I'll be texting him. I keep forgetting. I know I keep saying that. Jason Sheff, I've got his information, but Jason knows who I am. I know for sure. So does Mickey. If you do it long enough on YouTube, after a while, the major artists kind of know where, like the Dennis DeYoung thing. Remember we talked about that? It was a real honor that he picked me. He says, "Oh, that guy wants to interview me." He looked at my videos and he went, the first thing he said is, "John Baudin, I picked you, you know. I asked my publicist to contact you." And he wasn't even doing any press at the time. So that means a lot. That's kind of nice. But the Starship people, I don't think Grace Slick does interviews. I haven't seen her doing an interview in a long time. Maybe she does. But if she does, let me know.
Paul says, John, the Heart bio, Kicking and Dreaming is an awesome read.
Oh, cool. Well, I talked to the Fisher brothers and Steve Andes a little while ago to talk about the heart stuff. It was eye-opening, but until you really until you talk to the girls, the ladies, that chapter's not closed. You can't close the file. So I should try a little harder to talk to the Wilson sisters. I don't think there's bad blood with us. I don't think we've ever said anything bad about them. Our channel really doesn't do that anyway, right? There's other channels that do that kind of stuff.
Gennaro says, thanks for letting us know of the passing away of Les Emerson.
Yeah, that was on the Canadian channel. And I thought of doing two. I thought because a five-man electrical band they were not just a Canadian band, they crossed over to the US. But at that time, something else came up, and I went, well, I'll put a link to it. I think we put a link to it on the American channel. This channel. This is not the American channel, the international channel. Most of our viewership on this channel is American. Certainly not Canadian.
Way of Thinking said, concert list for me is long. I was a DJ in the 80s and early 90s. I met Steve Perry, Gordon Lightfoot in the 70s and 80s. What would our life be without live music?
No, I know. And we're finding that out. We found that out for the last little while. Hey, good for you. You were an announcer. If you meeting that stature of musician, you were probably a good announcer to get to, because those guys don't go to the small towns. I remember once I was working in Calgary, just before I started running the station, the program director before me, the one before him, that's what it was. It was three. Two guys ran it for 2.5 years, and I ran it for the other 2.5 years. But the first guy said, Paul Larson was his name. He says, "Oh, I'm sure Nora Jones is coming to town. We're going to get her in the studio. She's going to come in here and do an interview." I says, "Nora Jones, it's a major market. Calgary's a major market." I said, "Nora Jones is not setting foot in this building. She's not going to do it." "Oh, yeah, she will. She's going to do it for sure." And I looked at him and went, "Are you the most naive, blankety blank? She's not coming in this building."
And did she come?
Of course not. And then he said the same thing for Dinah Krall. I'm going, "Oh, come on. Dinah Krall's not setting foot in this. They don't do that." At that point, those artists were so big that unless you're in LA and New York or a big US city, Toronto in Canada, Montreal, Vancouver, because when I worked in-house, I still work for the station in Vancouver. I'm still do a show for them every night. But that station would get a lot of people coming in. That helped me get the Randy Meisner interview. That famous interview that we've done so well with on this channel. Because I worked for the number one, at the time we were the number one station in Vancouver. So that's what happened. So anyway, Nora Jones, you're coming.
Paul says, hi, all. I'm Paul from a rainy London. Hey, hi.
Hey. Yeah, you're, I think, 4 hours ahead of us. What time? Would it be 12? Was it 12:26 there? Because I've just set up an interview with Ian Anderson. I was trying to make out the time with London. And I usually like to tell the artist with a Zoom interview, it's this time here, it's this time in England. I think you're 4 or 5 hours ahead of us.
Paul Hudson is asking us, is it cold in Canada, you guys?
Well, the cliche goes, right?
What?
Well, that we're all Eskimos.
Oh, yeah.
You're such a cute little
Where it's
Eskimo.
not.
You're the cutest little Eskimo I've ever seen.
It does get a little chilly
It
here,
does sometimes.
but we're actually finding it further east we are now in Canada. Although we get a lot of snow, it's not as chilly as it has been back out west in Alberta, where we are from.
When we moved here, I have a friend from Miramichi, northeast New Brunswick. We're southeast New Brunswick. He's an hour and a half away, and I grew up there. And he's always going on about how much snow you guys are going to have to deal with. And I keep looking at it. I spent the majority of my life in Alberta. I know all about snow. It's so weird. People's paradigms. I'm going, I know what snow looks like. We've had a lot of snow. Vancouver, not so much, because it rained a lot in the winter.
So for music, I only discovered the song Midnight in Harlem today. I'm from Ireland, but how did I miss this? Are you familiar with that song?
Yeah, everyone has those. Everyone has those. There's when I go into Spotify and say, oh, there's an album I never had, and there's a few Yes albums I never had, and I go, oh, and then I listen to them and go, oh yeah, my friends had this. I remember now. I know these songs, but not that well. And now and then, and that's why every time someone, and I've said this before, every time someone posts a video of a song, even if it's an AOR kind of yacht rock song, I'm not a biggest fan of the not so popular yacht rock that people go crazy about. But I'll always click on it. I'm going, I should know this. And I'll run now and then it's something, and I have to know it. I should know it. It's my business. This is what I do. And I'm also an announcer. I should know this, right?
Record Hound says, I have a
Canoe record.
Yep, thanks for the tip to spin it, plus its pronunciation.
Yeah. There was a band called, a synth band out of Quebec on the Attic Records. They were called Carillon. And I remember once I said it wrong on the radio, and someone I was doing a New Age show at the time in the 80s when New Age, Windham Hill, Narada, Higher Octave were doing, Hearts of Space were doing so well. And she called me up and she says, actually, John, it's Carillon. And every time I mention that band, no one knows who they are. Beautiful. It was a Christmas album. I should look at the names in the back of it.
They're saying definitely the Iron Man Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, like I said, I don't really get that anymore. But here's the first time I had it, I was it was maybe a few years before I met Shannon, and I was in a restaurant, and I was with my brother who knew then he probably had 6 months to live, and we were never close, and we were trying to get to know each other, and we really did get to know each other a lot more. We always fought. He was my older brother, and a waitress came up to me. She says, "Oh my God, I had no facial hair whatsoever," and she's, "Oh my God, you look so much like Robert Downey Jr." I went, "What?" I didn't even like the guy. I didn't dislike him, but I didn't really pay much attention to him. I wasn't a fan of his movies, but I think he's cool now. He's done okay. I always say it's not how you fall down, it's how you get up. Sometimes, and he's done well considering the troubles he's had.
Raymond says, "Can we get Aldo Nova?"
I tried. He didn't get back to me. He had released an album a few years ago. And sorry about that. That was loud. And he just said, "Well, who are you?" He wasn't dismissed. He just went, "Oh, yeah, just let me know where you're from and stuff." And I told him, at the time, I think we had 60,000 subscribers. And he just never got back to me. And I never followed through. Usually you follow through, but I just, yeah.
Paul says, "John, also knowing you're a Toto fan, The Gospel According to Luke is also a terrific book."
Yeah. He's one of the most interesting men you could ever interview. Luke is just the guy. Every video we do with Luke does well. He's one of the top interviews we've ever put out. I should contact their management because David Page is working on an album. The guys are probably going to be on it. I'd love to talk to Joseph Williams again. It'd be my third with him. It would be my sixth, I think, with Luke. Just one of the most interesting. You want to talk about interesting interviews? It's Steve Lukather.
Rick says, "Hey guys, hope you're all well. I'm going to see Toto in February for my birthday. Fingers crossed, no cancellations yet."
Have we talked about your birthday already? Because now, lately, a lot of people have been talking about, because mine's on the 1st. Because last time we were on, we were talking about birthdays with someone who was on, I think, the 2nd. Yeah. I'm itchy. Oh my God. Maybe it's this shirt.
Bronco Devil said had tickets to Zeppelin and they canceled.
Oh no! What year was that? Oh, Fleetwood Mac did that to us.
Oh, we were so close. We had like
We were walking to the arena.
and we had like not front row seats, but we were.
I think fifth row seat.
We had great.
Ask me tomorrow. I'll say 10th row seats.
And we got there, and it was like you're not coming in. It's.
Everyone was stunned. They went, "What?"
We're all waiting and we're going, "What?" Yeah.
And I worked for I was working for the same station. I still work for there. And I'm going, I should have known about this. I work for the station. This should have been some kind of statement or something. So I went on the air. We went back to the radio station, remember? And we like rushed back, and I made an announcement because my show was taped even then. And I went on live, and I just did an announcement saying, Fleetwood Mac's been canceled today. Yeah,
that was it. With Mike, it's always cool to see bands before they actually were famous. I was lucky to see Motley Crue and Warrant before they were
really? Wow.
That's good for you.
It's a lot of times they're hungrier than I heard stories about people seeing Van Halen before most of the world knew Van Halen, and that's pretty special, I was talking to Jim Mastia, the original drummer for Boston, and he was saying, people would sometimes drop in and listen to what they were doing, even though Tom was there by himself most of the time. And he says it was just, you could see by the reactions of people that they were building something pretty amazing.
Paul says, my milkman told me he went to see Led Zeppelin in London. They drove down, but he fell asleep at the concert. Imagine John Bonham playing a drum solo.
Oh my God, that's crazy. We were just listening to Chase do rock and roll with a lady named, our son Chase, with a lady named Tony Lynn Cassano, who just passed away about a month before we left. And listening to Chase doing those parts, pretty much exactly like John Bonham did. And you just go, that he certainly was. I was way more of a Bonham fan than I was a Keith Moon fan. Way more. There was just, I thought, a lot more to what Bonham did. And I was a drummer, and he inspired me a lot more. And it certainly inspired Chase. His drum kit, his little Pearl kit's right there. Well, not so little, it's a 7-piece kit. But right now it's a 1, 2, 3, 4-piece kit.
Surfer Boy says Keith Richards' book, Life, was pretty good.
Wasn't a big, I only became a Stones fan off and on through the years, and now have more of a respect for them, so.
David says the real Frank Zappa book is a good book, funny and insightful.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? It would almost have to be.
Barry says great R&R books, any of the Nick.
I don't know how to say that.
Touches? Unseen Heroes of Rock and Roll?
Oh, I don't know that. I don't know that name. I always like when someone what are they called? I can't remember their radio station name, but they interview a lot. Oh, I can't believe they interview a lot of people who are unsung heroes. It'll come to me.
Mike was asking, did Steve Lukather do a lot of guitar work for Don Henley, or am I thinking of another guitarist?
I don't think so. He might have played with Don Henley. Don Henley's guitarist for the End of the Innocents was one of them was Danny Korchmar.
Oh, Darren jumped in. Steve Lukather only played on Don Henley's first solo album, I Can't Stand Still.
Yeah.
In '82.
I found that album, and even though I like it now in the beginning, I found it to be a huge disappointment when I first got it. I just expected, because Henley's always been my favorite Eagle, and then after that, I kind of went back to it, and I went, no, I really appreciate it now. The End of the Innocents is still my favorite Henley album. I think that's just
my favorite.
With Hornsby on that. Oh my God, my foot's falling asleep.
JD says, John, your wife looks like Rita Coolidge. Coolidge?
Oh, that's just because of long hair.
I have to look her up.
Someone was just saying the other day, and I'd heard the story before, that the piano outro to Layla was done by Rita Coolidge. She did that, but never got credit for it. That Clapton never gave her credit, and that's kind of an interesting thing. Rita Coolidge always had just such an interesting, unique voice in that lower register. And of course, she was married to Chris Christopherson.
And Anna says, I'm loving the groovy printed shirts you're wearing. Your live shows with Shannon are my weekly YouTube highlight.
Aw,
Thanks,
thank
Anna.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'm looking a little gaunt. I don't know if I look like I just like robbed a grocery store or something. With a good shirt though.
And Gennaro says, John, I'm voting you as rock and roll's minister of doom and gloom.
I find it funny when people say that. What are you going to do? It's going to happen a lot more. Hey, just think for a second. Just think about this. Next week we'll be talking, and we'll probably have lost another 3 people. I mean, obviously a lot more than that, but the people that we report on, there's, I mean, think about all the other people who record, who kind of have quasi, luck, success, and we don't report on everybody. It's kooky, and since we're in the East now, if I wake up and there's someone who's passed, I can go on live and do a thing. And by the time the West wakes up, they'll go, and we had the same problem the other way. It's like good and bad, You're late, you're early.
James says, hello, Shannon John. How are you doing this evening?
Hanging out.
We're doing good. And Dilt's Brothers Band, thanks for the fascinating interview with our uncle Henry Diltz, John. He's an interesting guy, isn't he?
I'd like to talk to Henry again because, when you talk to a guy who's there, when he talks about Woodstock and he, was asked to be the official photographer, I asked Henry, I said, well, how do you feel? I mean, I've probably stolen your stuff without even knowing. He says, everyone does, and you're gonna get that. He says, photographers who go after everyone who on YouTube takes one of their pictures, what are you gonna do? And of course, he sells his prints on his own website, and he was a fascinating interview. If you talk to him, tell him I want to talk to him again. I'd love to. I don't even know how to get a hold of him. Fraser
J said, hey John, the phone number you emailed me, is it available on WhatsApp as I'm in the UK?
I don't know. I don't even know what WhatsApp is. You can just email me. If you want to email me questions, that's fine. Yeah.
Darren says, Steve plays electric guitar on You Better Hang Up, acoustic guitar on Talking to the Moon, and second guitar on Dirty Laundry. Joe Walsh plays the first solo on Dirty Laundry.
And that's why we have the best watchers in the universe. Thank you. That was cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Darren. You rock.
I still want, and by the way, is there a thing where we could, people could just get on live? I mean, does Zoom even do that? Can we even hook on Zoom to a live call? I would love for people just to come on. We'd all talk. Hey, how's it going? And of course, now and then you'd have a crazy person, come on there and like the kooky person in the grocery store. But that's the chance you take when you're on live.
Marilyn says, I'm Canadian. Hi, Marilyn.
Where are you from?
And Melody R says, I'm Canadian.
We are certainly Canadian.
Bronco says, Henry did a PBS show that was good. So Henry Diltz.
He's just, I can't say it enough. When he was talking about the first Eagles album and, having Don Henley and Randy Meisner and Bernie Ledden and Glenn Frey out there, and they all had a little bit of the shiny stuff. Well, I can't even say it on this because I'll get demonetized, but they were having fun. They were in another realm. The way Henry describes it, it's almost like you're there. I found that with Andrew Gold, when Andrew Gold talked about trying to help Linda Ronstadt, who didn't write songs. And the way that Andrew told it, it's almost like I felt like I was in a room with him. I'm not sure why. I haven't. That interview has a lot of hum on it, and we don't know what to do with it because there's so much hum on the interview from phone hum.
Paul says, check out Holy Holy.
A Bowie band, Bowie's producer. What did he do?
Tony Visconti.
Yeah.
And Bowie's drummer Woods Mancy.
They're touring. Oh, cool. Never been the biggest Bowie fan. I always have, artists, just like record companies had, prestige artists. To me, Bowie, for my collection, was a prestige artist. The way that I wasn't the biggest fan, but I knew how important it was. It's like when Kanye first came out. I remember truly disliking him as a man, but then we found out he was dealing with mental issues, and then it's like watching Sheldon on what's the name of that show? That show with they just canceled the show. Not canceled it. The show with Sheldon. I never really. But in the beginning, you watch it and you say that guy. That guy's terrible. I can't even watch that guy. He's not a good person. Then you find out his character was kind of based on an Asperger's character, archetype thing or whatever. And then you go, oh, well, okay, then that's different. I have an autistic daughter. I can relate to that. That's fine. So with, I don't know where I was going with that. Someplace really important. Bowie, he's great.
Darren says, hello, John Shan. John, you say some hilarious things when you speak your point of view and what you know.
I'm just crazy.
He's just
I was talking.
on the fly.
We were talking to a neighbor today, and there are two people we'd really like to get to know because we're fairly new to the neighborhood, but we find these two people really interesting. They just live up the street. And at one point, I was just telling her something about a story or something, and she's standing there with her dog. He's a golden retriever, beautiful little dog, female. And I found myself just giving out way too much information. I'm going, where am I going with this story? What's it about? And interestingly, when I'm doing a report on something, that can happen, but it usually doesn't. Because I'm not talking about myself or my musical tastes or whatever. I'm just talking about the artist.
And that's sometimes a good time when the wife is there and she just kind of helps bring it full circle.
She'll hit me sometimes.
Bring it full circle.
She'll go like this. She'll go like that. We're one of those couples that's very good at telling the other person when they're full of what. She'll go, what the heck?
Well, someone needs you always need You always need someone to keep you in line, right? Or to just to kind of keep you in check and let you know when you're full of whatever.
Every artist I talk to, if I ask them about their daughters or their sons and how they look at their fame, every artist, every single time, they'll always go, oh, I'm just their dad. They don't care. They don't. Now and then they'll see me on TV. They'll say, not me, but them. And they'll say, oh, hey, Dad, I got a moment there. I realized, I guess you're an important person. But they all say that, oh, it's just Dad.
Paul says he's in England. Showstopper Rob is in the Netherlands.
Oh, cool.
Sean said it's certainly quite cold here in Ottawa.
Yeah, Ottawa's cold.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
One's in Ontario. Can you get an interview with the Spoons? Al is wondering.
We just did. We just talked to Terry. And we're going to put it up. I thought I lost the interview. That's the thing about doing interviews. You have to take it and put it in several hard drives. There's Eric Alper is a Canadian a publicist, and he's a real good commentator when he's on TV. And he's got I think his website is The Real Eric Alper or I Am Eric Alper. It's Alper, Alper, and he's just an amazing man. He's such an interesting man. But he got me. He gave me maybe 6 interviews, and they didn't see the light of day. We thought the hard drive was dead, and we moved here, and all of a sudden the hard drive started working again. I went, what? So we took very slowly, didn't want to overwork the hard drive, took the interviews out, and we're going to put those up. The Spoons is not one of them, but it just just went off on a tangent. Just reminded me of all the great Canadian artists that we just interviewed that we thought we lost. Spoons coming up.
Did you, Mike says, did you ever get a chance to interview Ronnie James Dio? He always seemed like a very interesting person.
No, but I don't know if if that Facebook account, is that really his? Because I always thought that can't be his. He just has a Facebook account. He's freaking Ronnie James Dio. But no, I didn't. But I was friends with him, but I don't think it was really him.
42.0 FM. My birthday is the same as Eddie Van Halen.
Eddie Van Halen, cool. That's still, well, you wouldn't see it. There's a big, when you walk into a grocery store and they have a framed rock and roll thing there and you can make a bid on it, it's usually $200. My father-in-law, one of our highest videos is when Eddie Van Halen passed away, and I think he got 500,000 hits.
That was such a nice gesture.
It was really, he walked into a grocery store and he saw Eddie Van Halen there.
And that kind of was, you know, in this was a point for us where, you know, one of your videos actually went viral.
It's the first time that something went up that high. You know, we're not like some of the other guys who do this, where a lot of their videos reach 1 million. That doesn't happen with us. You know, I'm sure it will in the future, but it hadn't happened a lot. And he saw that picture and he put a bid on it, and we have it hanging over there. I don't want to. Well, it's on the side, so you won't be able to see it. That's all I have to say about that.
So we have Gennaro says there was a big police presence at the Mount Royal Cemetery because people were dying to get in. Ha ha ha! It's a joke. John, do you have a favorite joke you want to share with us?
No, I don't have no jokes.
Nothing.
Not
Soulful
no jokes.
Music said there was rumors Mac would cancel. That's a good
You
one.
guys are getting funny. Watch it now. I'm watching you.
John from Fraser. John, have you ever heard of the band Il Grupo? Steve
Where?
Lukather and a bunch of session guys, jazz fusion vibe.
Sounds familiar, but no, I don't think so. Ronnie Spector.
Yep, and that's what Wes said. Thank you, John, for the info.
That was just that was pretty much an on-the-fly thing with three. Usually, what I'll do is I'll have open in front of me, and you guys would have figured this out. I'll have Wikipedia and the discography open, and I'll have usually one. That night, I had 2 articles open to basic information, and because you have to have your ducks in order, because you can't just go, I'm going to do this from memory. You can't. No one does that. No news person does that. And the question about doing one of those things is always to try to get the gold out of something, and you can't always do it because you're on the fly. But that one got demonetized because I mentioned someone not wanting to get the thing here. I can't even say it. I mentioned it because the guitarist that did the Cinderella's first album. I just mentioned that. I can't even mention it now.
Floyd the Barber, R.I.P. Ronnie Spector. Was she the first attitude girl in rock music in the line of Debbie Harry, Joan Jett, and others?
She certainly had. I don't know if she was the first one. She certainly had that kind of feel. That's a good point. But a lot, Diana Ross had a real something about her. There was a lot of that kind of in your face. Not necessarily in your face, not the right word, but just great showmanship back then. Yeah.
Carrie says, good Friday night, you two. Hi Carrie.
Hi, Carrie.
Bronco says, I saw Lenny Kravitz open up for the Cult before he was big.
Oh, wow. Love those stories. Yeah, I used to like the Cult for like a little while. You were just doing a thing on replacement leads, Ian Asbury, yeah. Replacement lead singers.
Ronnie says, I remember seeing Shania Twain and Toby Keith in 1992 at a town fair before they hit it big.
Oh my God.
Wow, I always like it when you're seeing these artists before they actually, make it to the big time, because I think that's pretty cool.
Well, I remember showing you that picture of Shania Twain. My friend Ray Ellis, who played Ronnie Prophet and a lot of other people, and Ray Sawyer of Dr. Hook. I had Ray come on and talk about Ray when he passed away, Ray Sawyer, and there was a picture there of Shania Twain this week, and talking about being in the same room as her and her coming up and trying to make it, and she looked like that old Shania Twain before she was big, because those pictures have been circling around for a while.
Rick says, hey John, did you hear about Steve Lukather and David Garfield's falling out?
No.
Luke says that Garfield was a scam artist and never paid his band for the Jeff Porcaro tribute.
I didn't know that. I don't know if that's true. If he said it,
Rick chimed in, no love lost between Garfield and David Page, though.
I had no idea.
Thank you, Paul. Paul says you're better looking than Rita Coolidge. I have to actually go look her up.
She is. Rita Coolidge is a pretty girl. Like I said, I always loved the way she sang.
Darren says, Ronnie Spector, when you said she passed, it was a very sad day. She was an icon.
Mm-hmm. Like I said in the thing, when Eddie Money was talking about her 6 months before he died, he was just very, very sweet. And as I said in the memorial, at the end, he said a few things about her. He just said, there was just something. He says there was something about her. He said, don't use this if you don't mind. I went, oh, okay, sure. You'll never see the light of day. But some other things which I'm not going to repeat. I know we wouldn't. But and then Eddie Money got kind of philosophical at the end of the interview. And I'll just say, I won't use this, and so I won't say what he said. But it was interesting. I think Eddie knew then that his time was short. I think at that point. Some people get a warning. Some people would rather not have a warning.
Spacey says,
Bob Saget.
Hey John, do your neighbors know you're a celebrity?
I'm not a celebrity, and my neighbors don't care. They really don't care. Remember we had this conversation. I talked to a lot of artists, and they'll say, and sorry for the people who heard me say this 1,000 times. Okay, you're in a dentist's office. Guy beside you turns around and says, okay, so what do you do? And I asked John Helliwell that question, and Glenn Shorrock that question, and a lot of artists, the same question. They go, well, I'm a musician. Oh yeah. Like, have you made it? Have you done anything I would know? And half the artists would say, oh, yeah, I'm still working on it, because they don't want to have that conversation. They say, well, it changes the energy in the room. If I went to a party and started going around telling people, oh, I've interviewed all these people, they'd go, so what? Shut up. I've been in radio for so long, going on 39 years in May, that we know enough to not, if they take it out of us, oh yeah, tell me. That's okay then. But you keep it you just have to so be careful. And artists all tell me the same thing. It changes the energy in the room.
John's asking, have you talked to Randy Bachman about the album with Tal?
No, I haven't talked to Randy yet. His people just got back to me yesterday and told me that he's ready to do interviews. Okay. I said I was available any day for Randy Bachman. Give me a time. I'm on Eastern time. He lives in the West Coast, so I said, give me a time, I'll make it work. But they'll get back to me probably in the next few days.
Paul says, John, in the 90s, I ran the skyboxes at the Dome, and one of the best things I've seen in music was sound check for Genesis, watching Phil and Chester rehearse the dual drum solo. It was so amazing.
Oh my
God. Oh, nice.
You have a great story to
That's
tell.
a great story.
I only saw them for Duke, which is sitting up there. I was just listening to it yesterday. I've been listening to Duke so much lately. And the self-titled album with Mama, which is a song I never liked.
Jerry says, hi guys from a cold Scotland.
Oh,
Your
wow.
wee dog, what's its name? His name is Rudy. It's actually Rudolph. We got him at Christmas time or just after, but his name is Rudy.
I like to say he's named after the Supertramp song, but he really wasn't. But I say that because it sounds better. It's like, I gotta go shovel soon.
That you do.
Hey, I had a pencil where I could just press that little button. My finger wouldn't have to go up. I'd have that little pencil. And I can't do it today. We're pretty far away from the camera. We're like, it's almost like a pic. This looks like a Christmas picture from 1976 where people would take pictures and you'd see half the picture would be the wall. And now it's all selfies. Everyone's right in front.
Right?
This looks like this is framing like. So
well, we must bundle up and go out and tackle the cold.
There's no we. I'm going to be doing it.
And I'll be watching.
Shannon does so much work in the house. I would never in a million years ever ask her, nor would she do it, to shovel. You wouldn't, no, but our house is so clean.
I would shovel a walkway, right? Poor dog. We'd want to make sure that he could get out. The rest of us.
I'm not complaining. You run a tight ship. So, again, thank you for supporting us.
Thank you so much.
People are always asking us, why don't you have a Patreon account so like we could maybe talk more often and secret videos and all this stuff. My son's working on it. To me, that's just another thing. I know that would make us more income.
But we're in the works of doing that right now, and we're just changing up some of our marketing, some of the presentation of our videos, and we've got a lot of stuff coming.
Intros and extras.
A lot of stuff coming this year. We're excited.
Yes.
And we're so happy to have you here. And till next Friday.
Till next Friday.
Yes.
Well, you'll see me a lot more this week because unfortunately, I bet you anything. It's sad to even think about it, but we're probably, they're all at that opportunistic age, I mean, Bob Saget. Oh, so that's a long one there, everyone.
Yeah, that was
Bob Saget. I mean, that was a shock. I've never been the biggest Bob Saget fan, but I never thought Bob Saget would die, like that. So anyway, love you guys.
Thank you.
Please be safe and take care of yourselves. Okay. Good night.
Bye. Thanks.